Okay, well, we are doing our very first series on basically how I study film and how I think this could be a big benefit to a lot of people out there. Because when it comes to studying film, you can obviously watch how somebody does something, you can watch out of inspiration to get a lot of help studying people that are obviously a higher level than you. But when it comes down to it, there are plenty of ways to, let's say, skin a cat, but there are definitely ways that are obviously better to do it. So with this obviously being our first one, right now I'm just basically making sure the stream is up and going. Once I see that it's good, we will get started. But while we wait for this to pull up and make sure that I'm good on my end, and I don't see that it is, so give me just a second here. Let me see if I can get this going here. It looks to be like it's going, but I can't tell 100% sure. So it starts at 2:15. Maybe I did this right, maybe I didn't. Maybe this is live right now and I look silly. I see what it is. All right. We should be actually good now. I had it listed as private, but I meant to leave it as actually public. So let me see if the volume's good. Once I get here back on the playback here. All right, we're actually good. It's actually what I was looking for. All right, so the goal and purpose of this is to, number one, show you guys how I like to study film, and to not just study film in the context of how to do something, but it's to get inspiration from those things. And if you just watch it, like I'm going to show you guys how I watch film, I think it'll be a huge benefit to you guys. And I think it's one of those things that's taken my jiu-jitsu to the next level, especially after owning a gym for the last 5 years and being 35, and to be able to compete at the adult level at black belt. I think it's going to be really beneficial. But there's one key factor that I feel like made a big difference with my film study, and a lot of this is actually using notes. Now, if you guys can see here, because we're doing more of a study on Erich Munis, is that I have it sectioned out into two different areas here. We have Erich Munis's guard, and then we obviously have some guard passing detail stuff here. And what you'll notice is that I'll actually take notes specific on the match. I'll make my notes, and then I'll have a timestamp right by it as well. And it looks like at this part I did not timestamp it like I do historically. But we're going to go ahead and start this match and actually watch Erich Munis versus Ila Braz. Probably said his last name wrong, which is okay. But in this video, one reason why I like this match so much is because, for me personally, I've been studying a little bit more of the spider lapel guard. And this match, he abuses the spider lapel guard. So we'll get a lot of interesting looks in this. So let me go ahead and make sure the sound's still good. Okay. But in this video, one reason why I like it. All right, we're actually still good. All right, so Erich kind of pulls guard in a lot of different ways, which I'm not really paying too much attention to that portion of the game, but I'm really watching for the spider lapel. So you'll see Erich a lot of times pull to like double sleeve, like a lasso style, or if you can get this closed guard, he actually finds this quite a bit. And I've watched this match so many times, it's almost like I can memorize exactly what they're saying if we had the audio playing when it comes to coaches coaching in Portuguese. But you'll notice here he does this a couple times, taking the lapel. In this scenario, he puts his foot right into the spider lapel, which is a really strong option. But he'll take that lapel and pull it around the tricep when it comes to actually trying to look like he's attacking the arm. But I promise you guys, there's nothing really there. So in fact, while we're going through this match, yeah, and this is another really good detail too I like about this position, is one thing I learned through studying a lot of Erich is that he uses his shins to off balance his partner. So like the double sleeve, if you have both sleeve grips, using your shins into the armpits to off balance them above one of your shoulders, you can get them to move. But what's nice about if you have like a squid guard style, or even if you have like double sleeve, using your shins to off balance is a really strong mechanic. All right, and it looks like here, I'm going to pull up some of my notes from this match, because I've done this a handful of times with Squid Guard. Oh, here we go, right here. Actually, I don't have any notes on this match. This is actually a really good thing, because what we're going to be able to do is we're actually going to be able to take and make notes as the match actually goes on. Okay. So, in this match, he used a lot of off bounces, like almost like a bicycle or wheel sweep in this. But utilizing the lasso, I like to use the right foot to go cross lapel. Kind of, yeah, he's kind of doing that same idea here too, but he's using his right foot to break that grip. There it is. See, in a situation like this, like if I was taking notes on how to deal with people attacking the pants, because right now he's got, he's looking to make a grip. Ooh, went too far, didn't go back enough. But if you look in here, he's got a really strong control over the collar. And in order for Erich to do some of the off bounce he wants to do, he's got to be able to break that grip. So an example here, if I was running into this issue, and this is what I'm studying and pull from, I would actually copy the link. And in this link, actually I have it right here. Looky here, guys. I would actually copy it to this portion right here. Now, I took a general notes on this match because there was a lot of spider lapel. And this is a position I'm very familiar with, but if this is like a new position that I wasn't as familiar, I would timestamp this. So like an example how I would do this is I would see, okay, this exchange that I want to take and I want to be able to re-review happened at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So we copy and paste the link. We know obviously who it was against where, and then I would put 2 minutes, 10 seconds on there. And what I would do is I would type general, basically the notes, so I could have like, if I look at this 2 months later, I know exactly what I'm looking at here, and it's going to be easier to reference back. Or like I've done with some of my athletes at my gym, that if they have questions about this or a similar scenario, I can just copy and paste all this and cut out a lot of the work on their end and just give it to them. So this would be from spider lapel, breaking the pant grip on the, was the sleeve control side? Yeah, it was sleeve control side. On the sleeve control side, so I'd put, where am I at right now? Oh, on the sleeve control side using, no, that's on the lapel side. On the lapel control side using cross spider concept to break the grip straight to the off balance. See, like doing things like this, I feel like has been one of the biggest key factors when it comes to my general progress in utilizing film studying when it comes to getting inspiration and ideas. Because obviously Erich isn't somebody I'm going to compete against because he's not in my weight class. But in the context of utilizing this here and that right there, guys, this is actually one of many things that Erich does an extremely good job of. See, 2 minutes and 16 seconds, is that when he off bounces with the spider lapel, if they end up feeling like they're going to get back up versus going for the scramble, he actually opts to pull guard again. And then more often than not, you're going to see him immediately go for that off balance. So again, because the context of this video about how I want to kill two birds with one stone, make some content with you guys, but at the same time too, be able to get my film study going and out of the way. If you guys look here, 2 minutes, 16 seconds, spider lapel, off balance, to re-guard pull, and off balance again. And then I'll make a small note here if opponent is fighting back up well. Basically, the idea here is that if they're like hips are getting above your hips, which is basically what happened. They were kind of too parallel. Like he maybe could have like dropped his foot out and wrestled up here, but there's nothing really stopping, I'm assuming how you say his name is Eli from getting up to both of his knees, and then you're in a wrestling scenario. It's not that you don't want to wrestle, but at the same time, think of the context of where he is on the mat, just out of bounds. The wise decision here is to immediately off bounce again. And the nice thing about this too, what Erich does such a good job of, at no real point in time does Eli get an opportunity to settle his weight and to try to get any kind of offense going. Now this is interesting here because if I remember correctly, they actually end up keep fighting. He ends up losing the position, but I don't recall if he does or he doesn't. But in my personal opinion, I think the best idea here is to actually keep control of the back and wait for the ref to reset. Because if you're not careful, if you overfight for your grips, you actually get the choke, you're out of bounds, they're going to reset you. You will get 2 points. But again, if we're thinking in the context of fighting the best guys in the world, you're going to be reset from the feet, right? So he ends up losing the position here, which is interesting. They never reset them. They choose to reset off close guard, but not when he had the back control. That was interesting. But I feel like Erich maybe could have influenced that reset a little bit more when he had the back if he just looked up, made eye contact with the ref, kept control, got his 4 points. But obviously Erich's off to a really good start here. Wasn't too much stress of him probably even giving up that position because Eli didn't have a guard. He falls down, he's back in guard, he's up by 4. He's in a really strong position here because obviously Erich really believes in his guard retention here. But he may also have some other things he's trying to work through. If I remember correctly, this is not the final, so this could be like second or first match of Brasileiros trying to get warmed up a little bit more. But again, these are like small little things I'll be watching because he plays a similar game to mine. He's a little bit more focused on spider lapel, squid guard, and double sleeve. I play a little bit more of a dynamic style of lapel guard. I'll exchange between a lot of different ones, and I generally hunt for a little bit more of this submission. Now, this is the detail I mentioned earlier to where he's pulling the lapel through the outside of the actual tricep here. And it looks like he tries to kind of make some stuff happen. But if I'm being blunt with you guys, there's no real submission there against anybody that's good. So what would be really interesting is if Erich played more of a gubber guard style, because when they cram into you like that, they have a lot of good options. But if you notice there, when he takes that lapel, feeds to the hand, it's an easy feed to get it from there to there when it's behind the tricep. If it's in front of the bicep, you've got to like go over the arm. Sometimes they're strong enough to pull their arm through, and it's a little bit tougher of a feed. But I actually do this and recognize a little bit more watching Erich. Not because of necessarily I think he maybe does this with the intent, but I know I do. That if I'm showing like I'm going to do something with this lapel trap in the arm, man, in reality, there's absolutely nothing I'm going to be doing with that at all. I'm literally looking to bait and then feed because there's nothing stopping for me taking my right hand and feeding that lapel grip to my left hand there. And then this is interesting. This is just Erich being Erich. It seems like a lot of times Erich, this is with all respect, because I'm a huge fan of Erich. I feel like sometimes you just kind of throw things at the wall and sees if it works. See, this is interesting because I've tried some of the flower sweep stuff when I have the lapel fed, but I don't quite have the success. So I wonder, this has to be more of like how Eli's has his base right now, because he has so much of his weight on his left leg that Erich just posts on the hip and then just cuts him over. It doesn't even really look like he drives his hip in much. See, I personally have pressured this test isn't up. I'm not going to, but let's say I didn't and I wanted to try this. Again, I would timestamp here and then I would go to my notes, put it there, but I would put a question and like drill this exchange, the flower sweep, foot to the hip, partner's weight distribution. But also if I didn't take like the best of notes, so like if I read it later, I don't know, I have it timestamped and the link to the video. So when I get to, let's say, warm-ups or after sparring or at open mat, I can work this position here. But it doesn't even look like, you guys tell me what you think. It doesn't even look like he just posts his hip and then it's mostly his left leg. You would think he would post and then from here, man, his hips are so flexible. Like his hips are supine. You would think he'd be more to angle this way based off how this leg is, but this one's so open. And then he chops at the hip maybe? Here. Interesting. In fact, I am going to do this. I am going to take notes on this part because normally at that angle, with flower sticks, I'm like chopping into the armpit. Whoops. Not what I wanted to click. What did it say it was? 446. So I put 446. Flower sweep with lapel fed. Watch how he chops at the hips. See, and these notes don't even, at least for me, guys, they don't have to be perfect. They have to be around the general idea. But if it's time-stamped, I can reread those notes. And then while I'm at the gym, on my phone, iPad, whatever, I can immediately jump back into here and see it. Yeah, that's interesting how that even worked, because Eli's good. Obviously, anybody Erich's going to fight against, they're really good. But at the same time, see if we can find more of this. This is interesting how he's willing to give up mount in the back, even though he is hunting a submission here, but he's so willing to let it go. Because again, this is an interesting thing that Erich does, because he has such a good understanding of the rules that he can almost like farm points in these exchanges. This is one thing here. I'm not going to take notes on it right now because I do this quite a bit myself. But having your hands, both your hands doing something is incredibly important. I'll give you an example here. When you see him go to the lasso and he has nothing with his right hand, he stacks this grip here. So there is no real ability for Eli to rip his hand out or take his left hand, grab the cross sleeve and break it, because Erich's got 2-on-1 in this scenario, and I really like this. I'm not a huge fan of Erich being off to his left hip there, but again, it's important to know the rules, because if you know the rules and you're at Erich's level, you can break them. By the way, I don't know if you guys have seen Erich in person. The dude is huge. That's actually interesting. Am I missing something there? Cross sleeve, grabs the lapel. What does Eli have in this scenario? So you've got the cross sleeve, so he's not going to be able to throw that leg to the side. Even if he did, he's got the lapel. He can't really pass this way. Interesting. I'm going to mess with this for a second. I'm not really... See, this is an interesting thing, guys. Like, I've literally watched this match and studied this match so many times, but I have not seen this before, or at least recognize it. 531. All right, so 531. Let's say cross sleeve. What was it? Cross sleeve lasso, I think. Yeah, no. Cross sleeve lasso on opposite side. Cross sleeve lasso on opposite side. Puts in spider lapel on sleeve you're controlling with cross sleeve. I think that makes sense. Again, guys, grammar does not have to be perfect or anywhere near good, because mine is definitely not. Interesting. He's still on that cross sleeve. So he's controlling. Oh, and they're going to reset here. I'm going to make it one more side note here. Keeps it for a bit. Play with options of spider lapel, but cross, if I can spell, cross sleeve control. All right. He wisely, though, as they're about to, when they say reset, he grabs the collar, because then that means he's literally resetting with the spider and collar versus just cross sleeve. But honestly, like, I'm not 100% sure what's there with the spider or cross sleeve. If it was anybody other than Erich Munis, I'd be like, no, not a real thing, man. I think one other thing that I've really noticed about Erich is how relaxed he always is. Especially when you have a lead of 10-0, 4 minutes left. I'm not sure how many more matches he has in the... I feel like this was a quarterfinals match. I don't think this was like a semifinals. But... And then... So this is interesting, because I don't get this reaction from people with what Eli's doing, but I see a lot of guys always do this with Erich, where they're taking their the spider guard arm side and they're trying to bring it under I do not really ever see that. Did I miss something there? No, I didn't. There was nothing there. I think he was just showing the idea of the wheel sweep, but outside of him bringing his right leg to chop, there was nothing really there at all. I like how he scoops his hips in there, taking his time. And now Eli should be feeling this a while ago, but he's down 10-0, 3 advantages, 3 minutes left. Man, that off balance was so clean. I'd like to have seen it. Yeah, no, Eli just did a good job throwing his weight to the side, because what Eric's trying to do there is he's trying to bring his hips, trying to get his hips under Eli's, and Eli wisely kept his hips away. The problem is, though, if Eli has a desire to win this match, he's got 3 minutes to work. And Erich is extremely difficult to score on. And when you combine that as well with, you're probably not going to submit the guy, man. I think the only person I've ever seen submit Erich was actually Nicholas Marigali. It was at the finals of the Absolute Pans. Ooh. It's interesting they reset that. So now he's at collar sleeve. Straight to lasso. He can keep the foot past the hips here. Interesting that he chose to abandon the lasso. Well, that was actually probably a pretty wise decision too, because he went all in on breaking that collar grip. And that collar grip for Eli probably would have been the difference maker there. Does a good job catching the leg. Keeping stuff. That was honestly probably, I think, the best offensive opportunity that Eli had there. But it's interesting that he's not continuing to push the pace, because we're looking at 2 minutes left, down by 10. Significantly easier said than done, though, because he's been fighting for 8 minutes now. Fighting who I think is the best in the world right now, especially at the heavier weight. Unless we get Marigali back, that'll be really interesting to see them have another match. Because when it comes to the heavyweight and up, in my opinion, I think Marigali is the first or second greatest of all time to Roger Gracie. And then Erich is right there too. But after, if you guys watch the finals match between Erich Munis and Nicholas Marigali, it kind of solidifies who's better there. We're not going to talk about this loop choke, though, because that was not anywhere near there. I think he's just kind of showing offense. You can tell what guys are really confident in when it comes to submissions based off how, number one, committed they are, but how clean their mechanics are. Because I think he had armpit on both sides here, and there's no way that's going. I don't think we have anything else really. This exchange, I think they're just going to ride it out. 42 seconds. Yeah, Eli does a good job being durable. And yep, looks like it ends on time. So this video is not going to go as long as what I'm going to do some of the other ones, because I got my kiddo. That sounds like she's actually done with her nap now. But the biggest thing I wanted to show you guys was kind of the process of how I go about studying film. And I go through a lot more matches than this. This is just one, which I'm going to be studying, restudying again, Kyan versus Erich. I'll be doing that off stream, but we're going to be doing more of these actual streams, so I can study with you guys. You guys can see my process, how I do it, be able to refer back to my notes. And if you're really organized, this is going to work great for you. If you've got super ADHD like me, man, this has been working extremely well for me. I think it could definitely work for you as well. But if you guys are looking for really good lapel instructional content to help you take yourself to the next level, or maybe you want me to be your step coach, check out the links down below, and I can work with you guys in the future. So have a good one, guys. And this was the first stream. We're going to keep improving on these.